Do you love Halloween? Have you ever wished there was another time to celebrate that fun and spooky time of year?
Well, now you can. HauntFest is a Halloween horror festival business that celebrates Halloween off-season.
Their next ghoulish affairs will be at Nightmare Dungeon in Greenville, South Carolina on December 13th through 15th, and at Terrapin Beer Company in Athens, Georgia on April 4th through 6th.
HauntFest events include all sorts of themed activities, such as hay rides, freak shows, fire breathing, live music, trivia, pumpkin painting, animal encounters, a haunted trail, and much more.
The festival also hosts an array of horror and Halloween-themed vendors, offering anything from tarot readings and antiques to original horror literature, macabre artwork, and jewelry.
Don't miss out on this opportunity. Get your pre-sale tickets today for only $20.
For ticket purchases, inquiries, and more info, please visit www.hauntfest.net and follow HauntFest on social media.
All right, everybody. I am Curtis.
And I'm Hannah.
And this is Love at First Fright. We are doing our first live show. Thank you so much for coming out. This is really, really fun. I got to set up the recording on this. Hold on.
Thank you
There we
for watching Psycho with us today outside in this beautiful weather. It finally feels like fall.
For once. It feels like fall, but I think next week it's supposed to be back in the 80s.
Yeah. So wear your sweaters while you can, folks.
Typically when we do recording at home, we kind of like deep dive into the plot of the movie. We don't want to do that for everyone because y'all just watched it with us, so that would be incredibly boring for us to go scene by scene for the movie you just watched for like almost 2 hours. So today we're going to talk about, I think, a little bit more like fun facts and maybe just like some cool stuff about the movie and like how the movie is basically one whole exploration of like psychoanalysis because Alfred Hitchcock is like weird.
Yeah. And he's got mommy issues big time.
Oh yeah, huge mommy issues.
Yes.
So I guess kind of the first thing I wanted to get into with the movie is, so Alfred Hitchcock is obviously a legend in filmmaking, right? He is known for so many horror movies and just movies in general. This one is probably one of the most famous that he's ever done. One thing I really, really like about this film in particular is the way the shots are done. From the beginning of the movie, it's filmed in like a realist style.
Yeah.
Where like we get like the date and time, and it's very specific and it's very objective and everything.
It actually makes me laugh every single time that it doesn't come up again. But
it's literally never again in the movie. The only other reference we get to like what day it is like later in the movie. They're like, she went missing a week and a day ago, and I'm like, all right, that's fine.
Could have been relative to anything.
Yeah, you didn't need to tell me this was in California. But it's shot in this like very realist style. But then like as the movie progresses, almost in a way to kind of throw you off and make you think that the psycho of the movie is going to be Marion the whole time with how she's kind of paranoid and she's being followed and everything. The camera shots start to change as well. We like get closer in and closer in on her face. We change from these shots of fades from scene to scene, which is shorthand in movies for like time has passed between these two scenes, to hard cuts to what we're seeing in front, and it becomes this more subjective thing as we like enter into Marion's mind. It's one of my favorite things about the movie.
Yeah. I did also want to ask, wasn't Psycho like the first horror movie you ever saw as a youngin?
Yes, this movie messed me up as a kid. So when we get into the ratings, we'll go over it. I like kind of biased rated this really high in scares because when I was a child, I was shown this movie probably too young. And for years afterward, could not take a shower without triple checking that the door was locked. And even then, trying to like shampoo your hair really quick, but like keeping your eyes open, and that doesn't go well when the soap burns your eyes. So,
Oh man, good times.
Yeah.
Well, something I really love about this movie, especially thinking about it from the perspective of the first time watching it, if it was a new release, is how they set Marion up as our main character, and we spend 45 plus minutes getting to know her, kind of following her on this like dive into crime that she's decided to have.
Her bad dive into crime. I want to be
Yes.
like very clear about it. She is not good at this.
Absolutely messy. But I just think about what that would feel like if you weren't primed at all, like I had been the first time I saw this movie. And then 45 minutes in, we're killing the main character. What are we supposed to do from here?
Yeah, it like abruptly switches from Marion being the protagonist to like then Norman's the protagonist for a little bit, and then we get Arbogast the detective. Speaking of, we have listed off all these characters just as a quick refresher for everybody. Go over the cast and everything so we can have that out of the way.
Our wonderful cast list, we of course have the iconic Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates. We have Janet Leigh as Marion Crane. We have Vera Miles as her sister, Lila Crane. John Gavin as Sam Loomis, the boyfriend. And then Martin Balsam as private investigator Arbogast.
Arbogast,
Arbogast.
as the sheriff says later on in the movie.
Yes. And of course, this one is written and directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Some people don't know this, but it is actually based on a novel of the same name, which was written by an author named Robert Bloch. One interesting thing about that is that when the movie was coming out, there's kind of this famous rumor that's gone around that Alfred Hitchcock did this like big coordinated effort to purchase all the existing copies of the book because he didn't want anybody to know what the twist was going to be at the end.
He was trying to like keep people from being spoiled.
Yes,
All right.
He was trying to prevent spoilers. Alfred Hitchcock put a lot of effort into avoiding spoilers in 1960, actually.
He's like writing the producers and is like, I just need like $100 more to
Yes,
get. I found like 5 more books and they will not let go for less than 100.
He also famously made theaters that were going to screen the film agree to not let patrons in late because he didn't want the experience to be spoiled. And he would also kind of challenge people to not share the twist. So it was sort of this big, like, it was a hype building mechanism, you know, and it worked.
No way that would work today. That would get spoiled instantly on TikTok.
Yes. Full breakdown within 25 minutes.
Absolutely. To kind of dive a little bit deeper into the movie about some of these like trivia things that we kind of know about the movie. This movie is often regarded as being the first wide release American movie to feature a toilet and flushing in it. That is actually incorrect. The first movie to feature a toilet and flushing in it is a 1930 movie called Going Wild. The reason people remember it as being the first movie to feature this is because, as opposed to Going Wild, this movie Psycho, the toilet is like a prominent feature of the movie. Like it plays like a plot device. Where in Going Wild, it's just a plumber flushing a toilet for no reason. And then in that same year, they released, I believe it's called the Hays Code, which was like a code of movie standards that were released. And they were like, don't show toilets. Also, don't show unmarried people in beds. Also, this, like very strict standards. And all of this combined, I think the toilet is kind of like the perfect anecdote for this, is that this movie like broke a lot of ground.
Oh, big time. This movie was risque.
Yeah, this movie did a lot for like sexuality in horror movies and violence in horror movies. And I mean, its influence is still felt today.
For sure.
I mean, even to like more recently at the time, right? Like Janet Leigh was the protagonist for the first 45 minutes of the movie.
Right.
And another little tidbit, if you didn't know, Halloween, that fun movie that everyone loves. Jamie Lee Curtis is the daughter of Janet Leigh. And John Carpenter specifically wanted Jamie Lee Curtis because he saw Psycho and was like, that's incredible acting. I want to get some of that in this. And that was Jamie Lee Curtis's introductory film. Had never really done acting before. And if you've seen Halloween, you know how like stellar she does in that movie. It is a fantastic movie. We actually did it on the last episode, so you can listen to that.
One thing that I wanted to share too, I just remember watching this for the first time and seeing to us, it's not that outlandish. It's not that risque. It's not that crazy to have the opening shot be, two people in bed, Janet Leigh in her little bra and her little slip.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was really risky to put out there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was extremely controversial at the time.
Oh yeah, critics hated this movie when it came out.
And parents.
Yeah, boo. But the kind of audience reaction to this movie was so great that critics ended up going back to the movie and watching it again after like everyone was like, no, it's actually really good. You guys are wrong on this one. And critics went back and were like, okay, fine, it's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, honestly, Alfred Hitchcock is kind of a mad genius for this because the studio was like, this movie ain't gonna make any money. Nobody's gonna want to see this shit. So he took a agreement to get a percentage of the profits from the film rather than taking a payment from the studio for it.
Yes.
And of course, it ends up being wildly successful to the point where it basically funded the rest of Hitchcock's life and career. He laughed all the way to the bank on that one.
Oh yeah.
We're over here normally we could just stop for a second and
Yeah, I can stop for 5 minutes and be like, I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick. Do you want to get anything from the fridge? No? Okay. I can edit out the silence. It's fine. That's just a very weird environment doing it.
Yeah, but another thing I thought might be fun to talk about is the shower scene. We haven't really we haven't dissected the shower scene in full yet.
I've dissected it a million times in my head. That scene scarred me.
That sounds dirty.
And it was. Not for me, but on the screen when people saw it, it was, it was gross.
That's another cool thing too, is hearing the reactions of people have these really strong memories of seeing the red blood and the knife going into Janet Leigh and all this stuff, and none of that's in there.
No, all of it is very true.
We saw
I saw it. It happened.
Yes. We're watching it just now, and you never see the knife go in. You never see it's not red blood. It's still all in black and white.
It's Hershey's syrup. That's how they pulled off the practical effect. It's just chocolate syrup. They squirted in the tub and said, they'll buy it.
And it worked. And it was chunky.
It's a horrible way to have described it.
It was. That's what was grossing me out. Watching it again, I was like, why are there so many bits and bobs in the blood?
The blood being chunky is what was creeping you out, and not a woman being violently stabbed to death.
I see that on the news every day.
Oh my god.
Chocolate syrup's way more of a big deal.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. You get the wrong kind of syrup in your chocolate milk, and your whole day is ruined.
Totally.
Another woman getting stabbed, who cares?
Oh, I wouldn't say that. You said that. Don't put that on me.
No, that scene legitimately is still so terrifying to me as I'm sitting here watching it tonight. I can feel the cringe coming over my body as I see the door creak open, and then you can't actually see Mother/Norman. You just see this fuzzy figure, and then the curtain gets ripped, and again, you never actually see her being stabbed with a knife. It's all these implied shots of the knife going down and the struggle. And this is one of the reasons why Alfred Hitchcock is regarded as one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, particularly in the horror sphere, is that he left that all to your imagination. Anything you picture in your head is significantly worse than whatever he's going to show on the screen. I think especially for the time. I don't know how realistic the stabbing would have looked if they did one of those fake retractable knives.
Yeah, but it's surprisingly, not surprisingly. I think for us nowadays, looking back on it, feels surprising. Yeah. But this movie was nominated for 4 different Oscars. Yeah. And didn't win anything, which also feels kind of strange.
It was robbed.
Still to this day, only Silence of the Lambs is the only horror movie to win an Oscar. Well, that's not true. I think that American Werewolf in London might have won a special effects Oscar, but in terms of Best Picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was pretty deserved, actually. They had Best Director, Supporting Actress, Best Black and White Cinematography, and Best Black and White Production Design. And those were all things I liked about it.
That's cool. That's a category they don't have anymore.
No, they don't have
Black and
that
white.
anymore. It's not relevant now.
I'm gonna start making black and white movies. I gotta reinstate the category.
Yeah, bring it back in.
I'm the only one in it. I have to win because I'm the only one making the movies.
Yes, they make the category for me, for what I'm doing. It kind of reminds me, this is sort of a side tangent, but for anyone who doesn't know, Fangoria is like a very famous horror magazine.
Yes.
And they do their Fangoria Chainsaw Awards every year.
Mm-hmm.
And they created a category this year that was just for, what's her name? Felicia
Yeah.
Rose, who was the main actress in Sleepaway Camp in the 80s. And it's literally a category that's just her best movie this year because she's constantly
constantly doing stuff.
self-funding
She's just
terrible
in everything.
indie projects.
To go off on this side tangent with you, because we watched the most recent Chainsaw Awards, and every scene they decided to show from one of the movies that she did, she was essentially playing the same character, which was angry woman yelling about shoving her foot up someone's ass.
Yes,
just
some part
constantly.
of her body was gonna go up somebody's butt,
It was incredible,
and it was imminent.
and it was a close race. I didn't know who was going to get the award, but
Which angry woman would it be?
yeah,
But I gotta love that for her. We need to bring that back.
absolutely. I wanted to dive a little bit into talking about some of the the
yeah.
weird stuff about this movie. I kind of said it at the beginning about the camera shots and everything. About, how we go from these fades to suggest the time is passing, but then these hard cuts when Marion is driving to show that we're going into this more subjective thing. She's not paying attention to the time passing anymore. She's just driving, and then we start hearing the voices in Marion's head about what are all these people saying about me, and she's becoming increasingly paranoid.
Yes.
And this kind of culminates in her having that twisted little ring like smirk, before the rain really starts and everything. And this to kind of get into it is all to show this mirroring that she has with Norman, down to the way that their names are spelled. So I think in the novel, her name was just Mary, I think, but Alfred Hitchcock intentionally changed it to Marion to be more similar to the name Norman. It has most of the same letters to get this whole point across of
Yes.
isn't it weird that they're the same person? Whoa. One's day, one's night, one's stealing money, the other's murdering people. I don't know how that's a mirror, but it's there, whatever. I'm not a psychologist. I don't have to know.
Yes, Hitchcock was very into the heavy Freudian imagery. I mean, there's so much to dissect when you look at the film. We have the three levels of the house representing the id, the ego, and the superego.
Yes.
And as Norman goes deeper into the house, goes more into his base desires. And of course, need we even mention all the mom stuff? That's Freud 101.
Yeah.
Anything Oedipal.
The whole Oedipal complex thing.
Yes.
I'm going to dress up as my mom and kill people.
Oedipal.
Oedipal. Yeah, it's edibles the whole way down. Norman's in his kitchen getting absolutely baked and then stabbing people. Yeah. Maybe Marion imagined the whole thing. It was a pot sandwich.
Sweet sandwich. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, one of my favorite things to kind of illustrate the Norman kind of slipping between the superego, ego, and id is just before he actually kills Marion, he goes back into the house and he's going to go up the stairs. We actually see him start, and then he pauses, and then he goes around the stairwell and into the kitchen. We see him sit down, and I don't know where he keeps the mother's clothing. I guess it's in the bedroom upstairs. But I think the implication is that in that scene, he is losing the battle against his super ego and ego, and eventually he gives in.
But he simply cannot.
Yeah, no, he loves his mom way too much.
And he loves the stabbing.
Yeah. Who doesn't? I mean, it's why we carve pumpkins every year, because we all just want to stab something.
Okay, unsafe.
What?
But you can definitely see this internal struggle, and I think it is really beautifully reflected in Marion's story, because Marion has made this kind of spur of the moment decision to adopt a life of crime. Love
Yes.
that for her. Love
Yes.
women's wrongs just as much as their rights.
Yeah, support women's wrongs.
And and she's
getting
really
snaps
like
from
she dives right into it. She's evading the cops and she's turning in her car for a new car.
Evading the cops is generous. The cop watches her do the whole transaction with the car.
She's basically just like, stop getting all up in my business.
Did I break any laws, officer?
Weirdo. But she's, hiding out in this motel, and she actually has this moment after her conversation with Norman where he's talking about his life and how, he's kind of the slave to his mom and all of this stuff. She realizes that it's not too late for her. And she has this moment of, I can turn around, I can go back to my boss, I can return the money, and I can beg for forgiveness.
Maybe I can turn in the money and live a life free of crime.
What was that a reference to something?
No, that's just her. That's Marion.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Just hanging out. I know her.
Yes, but she fully decides that she is gonna right this wrong. She's gonna go back tomorrow morning.
I am gonna return that $39,300.
Minus the $15 that the motel cost, so $39,685.
You got it.
Nailed it.
Landed that plane.
And I think what's so tragic is that Norman robs her of that opportunity.
Yeah.
She has decided, I messed up. I'm gonna do the right thing. She's kind of doing what Norman never could, and yet he stops her from that.
Yeah. This is like kind of the mirroring come to a head when the shower scene happens. She finally breaks away from all of this, and then Norman gives in fully to the delusion. I don't know what you want to call it, but he fully gives in. It's not dad delusion. But he fully gives in to this delusion and goes after her. And this is like you mentioned it before, like how wild this would have been in the 60s, whatever, to see this happen. That the main character just gets killed, and then there's an hour of runtime after that in the movie. We switch protagonists twice after that, 3 times if you really want to get into it with like Sam and everything.
Yep, we go from Norman to Arbogast. Why is he a country bumpkin now?
That's what the sheriff says. Everyone else in this movie is doing transatlantic accents. The sheriff is like, no, I'm from the South. That's Arbogast if I ever seen them.
Think of it. Why is that sheriff in...
It's an elected position. Who knows? He moved out there for the gold rush. Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah. But he, we go from Arbogast all the way back to Lila and Sam.
Yeah.
And then we also take a strong detour where the psychiatrist, the criminal psychologist, is kind of the main character for the last 15 minutes.
It's one of my favorite parts of this whole movie is the final, like, 10 minutes. Not the stuff that we get into with, like, the guy being like, he was a transvestite, and then he's
like,
oh, even in they were like, hey, not cool, man. But the idea that we just watched this whole movie for like an hour and a half, 40 minutes, because I think his whole monologue's about 8 minutes long towards the end of this movie. And we need to spend this entire time with the criminal psychologist explaining exactly what we just watched, in case you didn't get it.
Nothing can be left to the imagination. No. We must explain it all. And it's interesting because I've heard some people dog on Hitchcock for that and being like, oh, and he thought the audiences wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
But actually it was the studios. The studios were like, you can't stop after the wig falls off Norman's head. Everyone's going to be confused.
The studios understand the director's art vision challenge. Impossible. They cannot do it.
No.
They always got to get their grubby little fingers in there and be like, I mean, I don't get it, so how is an audience going to understand this?
Like, just because you have no media literacy doesn't mean... I mean, they're not totally wrong, but still, I don't think we needed 10 minutes.
No, I don't think we needed it either.
Explaining.
But we did get the very fun line of when Lila asks, "So he did kill my sister?" And he goes, "Yes, but no."
Can you imagine being the loved one of a murder victim and the criminal psychologist that just interviewed the main suspect comes out and he's putting all this mustard on his little, like, freaking
Maybe he
monologue.
didn't do it.
Maybe it was his mummy. And it's like, no, it was clearly Norman.
Did he actually kill my sister? I don't know.
I'll never tell.
Did he? What do you think?
And pay the toll.
Dredge the swamp and find out, loser.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Also, I had this this moment. What another patron who was watching the film with us had mentioned the movie Maxine, kind of having some references to Psycho.
I haven't seen it,
And
but I'll take your word for it.
It reminded me of the first movie in that trilogy called X, which we also covered on the pod way earlier on.
Yeah.
And they also get rid of evidence and cars and bodies in a swamp.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I didn't even put it together that was like how Norman Bates did that. And because I mean that movie obviously plays with so many tropes of the genre.
Yeah.
And I think that was one that just kind of flew under the radar for me.
Yeah, I mean, Psycho itself is so influential on the horror genre as a whole that I'm sure you could look at most any horror movie and probably pick out some kind of influence or reference to whatever from the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Again, to go back to Halloween, right? We talked about Jamie Lee Curtis being the daughter of Janet Leigh, but you might remember the name of one of the characters in Psycho being Sam Loomis. One of the main characters in Halloween is Samuel Lewis, the doctor, the psychologist of Michael Myers. So, like, there's references just all over the place to this movie.
Yeah.
People love this movie.
All the way to the top.
And they should. This movie is solidly really good.
Yeah, this movie slaps. And I think it's one of those, because I'm the first to admit that my brain has been rotted by too much internet access over the last, 15 years. So it's not always easy for me to go through, kind of a slow-paced film. But this one doesn't feel slow. I think sometimes people write it off because they're like, oh, it's an older movie, I'm not going to like it. Yeah. This movie is thrilling. It had me on a hook the whole time.
It's why I still get cringy around when the shower scene happens, because the tension building is so good in this movie.
Yes.
It also does one of the things I talked about it in regards to the actual stabbing, but it does one of the things that I really like in horror movies and that I call out all the time for being really annoying about horror movies, where it doesn't show the thing until the very end. You don't get that much of it. And you're kind of still left with all these questions. I mean, if you listen to the psychologist, that kind of ruins it a little bit, because he does just very clearly be like, this is what happened, this is why it's wrong.
Yeah.
Whatever. Also, you can give him a blanket, I guess. But there are so many movies that we watched. Cobweb, I think, was one of them, and the movie was generally really good. I was enjoying it until the last 15-20 minutes when they show this horrible CGI thing running after somebody. I'm like, oh, that's dumb. Yeah. It looks dumb.
The practical effects are such a gift, and I think it is responsible for why this movie holds up so much. Is the way that they have filmed the deaths. Even though we don't see that much on screen, it's still so evocative, and it still brings you that terror and fear in the moment, because you're not, the illusion isn't shattered by, oh, I'm looking at terrible 1994 CGI or whatever.
Except when Arbogast gets stabbed. That scene is objectively funny, even in the context of this movie.
I think that's a controversial take. I think a lot of people like how he's just kind of, whoa,
It starts to look like an interpretive dance on his way down.
I think it's fun.
No, I'm not saying it's not fun. I love it. I absolutely love it. Look forward to that scene every time. I know it's coming. I love it. It is really funny every time. He gets stabbed one time, and that's probably enough for most people to get stabbed one time. And
I was gonna say, wow.
And then he levitates down the stairs all the way back until he hits the ground.
Well, and what really gets me is that at the conclusion of that scene, we see him take the last step off the stairs. So in the fiction, he did just sort of moonwalk his way down the stairs.
It was either that or he like leaped into the air and then just like glided and then landed on the last step and then took that, and he's like, I really gotta ham this up.
Yeah. Ugh. He's like, I am sending this to my insurance.
I'm dead now.
Okay. I also wanted to say that this movie does a pretty good job of being scary, even though there aren't that many deaths.
Yeah.
We only get, what, two and an implied third?
No, there's more implied than that. Because we get 2 on screen. We get Arbogast, we get Marion.
Yeah.
Then at the end of the movie, it's revealed that he killed
his mommy
and the man she was with.
And okay, so 2, and then the 2 girls at the end.
And then two girls at the end that he talks about. So that's like 6.
We didn't see 4 out of the 6 of those.
Yeah, no, exactly. So it's not that. I mean, we don't see that many, but it is still scary. But you know, he was busy.
He had stuff going on.
Yeah, you know, it's like he was just lazing about. But he had to do all that murdering and still do linen on linen day. I mean, when are you gonna fit that in?
Right. Yep. It was interesting when they dropped this bomb of like, and there's also these 2 other unsolved murders. And I don't know if it was just me, but I was like, I thought we were seeing his first. You know, like I thought this was like a special moment in a boy's life where
in every boy's life where they kill their first woman taking a shower. And then the private eye that comes to look for them.
He killed his mom, and then he was like, you know what? I'm ready to move on to the next step. The next woman who comes in here by herself, it's over for her.
It's not a phase, Mom. Stab.
But no, he just randomly killed 2 other people. Lame.
What? Yeah. Yeah, murder's lame, kids. Yeah. Don't do a murder.
Thank you for clapping for don't do a murder.
It is good advice. Thank you.
Yes, it's important not to murder.
One thing that we typically like to do in every episode of the podcast is talk about our scariest moment from the film. Do you have one?
Yeah,
you want me to go first?
I think I know what yours is, so I'll go.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
The scariest moment to me is when Janet Leigh is driving in that car in the rain. And she has one windshield wiper. And it's like when I drive in the rain and I've got astigmatism.
Yeah, the astigmatism really kicking in.
And I'm like, I'm just hoping that I'm not somebody honk at me if I am.
Yeah.
And it's so terrifying every time, and she just keeps going.
She just keeps going.
She never even considers slowing down or stopping.
She's doing 75 down that interstate the whole time. You better get out of her way. Yes. Cars were built different, though. Those were like solid steel. She was basically in a tank. She would have been fine.
She just goes until she sees Bates Motel, and then she's like, you know what? I'm over this.
Now I'll stop.
Yes.
I got sleepy the other night and decided to sleep on the side of the road, but now I'll stop.
Yeah, because a cop came and...
Because the cop was being weird. I wasn't being weird. The cop was being weird.
Can you truly, like... The one thing I love and hate about this movie is how bad every single person is at lying.
Okay, you commit a crime and then go lie to a cop and see how good you are at it.
I haven't already.
Oh my god.
But truly, it's like the first thing she does is just randomly pull over, attract the attention of a cop, and then be so weird about it where she's like, I gotta go right away.
Am I doing anything wrong, officer?
Yeah.
I mean, kind of. You're being weird.
Am I acting like something is wrong, officer? Yeah,
I
you are.
I do want to call that out specifically and be like, yeah, he's so real for that. Because yes, you are being incredibly weird.
So weird right now.
Yeah.
And then immediately drives into town and decides, you know what will definitely make the cops not suspicious?
This will throw him off the trail.
If I trade in my car.
While he's watching, he'll never find me.
Yes. And I'm not going to take the, 24-hour think on it period.
No.
I'm just going to produce $700 cash to this used car salesman.
Yeah.
And away I go. Not even going to stop for my bag and my coat until the mechanic chases me down and forces me to take it.
Yeah. That whole scene does like kind of illustrate some like differences in like times, because he has that line when she says something about like wanting to, she's in a hurry and she just wants to make up her mind. Is there something like so wrong with that? And he's like, you can do anything you set your mind to, and being a woman, you will. And I was like, whoa, but slow it down. Do you actually want to make money here?
Well, that's 600 or else.
Yeah, like what the hell? She'll get her not boyfriend, not husband down here.
Casual misogyny. One of my
hell yeah.
favorite, just completely unhinged lines is when Arbogast is like talking to Norman Bates, saying, "Oh, you wouldn't be fooled into helping this woman if she offered you money." And he's like, "I would never be made a fool, even by a woman." It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's a special time.
A special unique, different time.
Well, my scariest moment,
Yes,
and I know what you're
tell me.
thinking because I already talked about the shower scene.
Yeah.
And you're wrong.
Okay. Lay it on me.
The scariest scene, if I'm being serious, it's the shower scene,
I knew
okay?
it.
It's terrifying. And if you think it's not terrifying, you're wrong. It's scary, all right?
Something's broken in
Yeah, something is deeply wrong and broken inside. No, the scariest scene in the movie is when Arbogast goes back to the motel and he's going to get out of his car. He stops the car and then crawls across the entire front seat to get out of the passengers. Why?
Opens the passenger side door.
What are you doing? That's an insane, unhinged way to get out of your vehicle. Just get out normally. It's not saving him time. He's trying to be sneaky about it. It would have been much faster just let the engine idle and then just get out and to run in really quick.
Yeah. It really came across as like they had this whole scene framed out and he was supposed to drive like 3 feet more to the right, but he missed his mark.
They didn't think about it when they were doing. They're like, and action, and he pulls up and then he does that whole thing. And like, oh shit, the car was supposed to be going the other way so he could get out normally and not like a freak.
And he just panics.
Yeah. But then they like ran out of time and like, well, we got to keep that shot in. The audience will never understand how Arbogast got back to the motel if we don't keep this in. Yeah.
Oh man.
So one of the last things we like to do for the show is we always give the movie we just watched a rating. I'm gonna pull this up really quick.
Tonight we had some audience members who put in their ratings as well, so thanks for doing that if you had a chance.
Yeah, thanks for playing along.
Yeah, it was cool to see the variety of everyone's scores.
Yeah, it looks like most people didn't think it was that scary.
Yeah, I think that was kind of just a you thing. I think that was childhood trauma.
What the hell? That's not cool, man. But no, most people didn't think it was that scary. But generally across the board, everyone thought the performances in the movie were great. We have several 10s in that category. The lowest is a 6.5. That might have been me.
That was no.
I don't know who that was. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm not trying to call you out here. And they also thought like the directing, the vision of the entire movie was great. Entertainment was also generally rated pretty high, and then the visuals were also rated pretty high, which I think tracks for how well this movie stands in like everyone's mind. This movie is old, and everyone still really likes it.
Yeah, that should be the new tagline.
Yeah.
When they
coming to Netflix. This movie's old.
75th anniversary.
Yeah.
It's old.
It's old.
And you're gonna like it.
You're gonna like it. You know?
You're gonna
Hey,
love the way you look.
and- New from Men's Warehouse.
Norman Bates outfit.
The Norman Bates collection now at Men's Warehouse.
Plus a wig personalized to what your mom looks like.
Mm-hmm. Bring in any picture of any mom, and we guarantee we'll make you look just like her. Or your money back.
So what was our average?
So yeah, I'm gonna run down the list of averages for each category. So for scariness, we had an average of 4.7. You know, a little low for me, but you know.
Okay.
Whatever. I'm a big baby, I guess. And then performances an 8.7. Our best category of the night is for vision, so like directing and everything, is a 9.1. Everyone does think Alfred Hitchcock is really good at making movies. Who'd have guessed? And then for entertainment, we have an 8.4, and visuals rounding it out at 8.9. That totals in for every category, averaged out for everyone here. And thank you all again for contributing to this. This is now going to be our most accurately rated movie for the podcast, which is great. Because normally it's just us two being like,
Adding in a dozen more people.
Yeah, it really kind of evens all that out. It comes in at an 8.0 even. So it's a pretty good movie. Tell your friends. You know, if they haven't seen it, be like, what are you doing?
Be like, it's old, you're going to like it, it's an 8.0.
I think something to do with Men's Warehouse is in there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, man.
Typically, that's where we end the show, but we wanted to do a little bit something different, I think, on this one as well. And we wanted to open this up to any audience questions if you had for us about the movie, about...
Or if you had comments
You know.
about your thoughts on Psycho, what was the scariest part to you? Feel free to come up and chit-chat with us.
Or, like, you know, what you got going
Shout
on
it
this
out.
weekend, or, you know,
Does
whatever.
anybody have anything?
It can be literally... Yes, you. Yeah. Unfortunately, yes, I am familiar with the 1998 Vince Vaughn.
Thoughts?
Gross.
I think that the 1998 shot-for-shot remake starring Vince Vaughn is...
With one additional scene.
With one additional important scene.
The scene, I've seen some puzzled looks out there. There's a 1998 remake of this movie. Vince Vaughn plays Norman Bates in this movie.
Crazy.
Yeah, and he cranks it in this one at one point.
Jerks his peanuts. And we all...
Oh no. And it's like, I don't know that really added anything to the movie, you know? Like, I kind of assumed that just before, when Norman ran back up to the house in the original, before he goes and talks to Mother there really quick, he gets the job done really quick.
No.
I'm just saying, that's the whole thing is whenever he finds a woman attractive, that's when Mom comes in and says, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Stab.
Do a stab.
Yeah, do a stab. And so, you know, I don't think we needed to see Vince Vaughn getting dirty, so to speak.
Oh, great question. What are your thoughts about the remake?
Yeah.
The original.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Recommend it.
Yeah.
And then you don't even have the comparison of it being a shot to shot. It's just a movie.
Yeah.
So that's just...
I do have kind of a weird thing with that specific, the 1998 Vince Vaughn one,
What'd you
where
got?
I was like up at 3 a.m. on like a school
Jordan.
night. Yeah. You know. Jorking it just before you stab a woman showering, as young boys do. It's normal. No, I think I was like, I don't care if I pass school, my math test tomorrow. I'm just gonna stay up and watch movies.
Cool kid.
I was cool. The DARE program worked. No, and I think I just like turned on the TV and that movie was on. No idea what channel. Couldn't tell you. This is a very fuzzy memory, but I know I've seen it because I'd seen Psycho previously.
Right.
And so I realized that this was Psycho, but I was like, but why is it in color? And why is Vince Vaughn here? And why is his dick out? Alfred Hitchcock, he got a lot of explaining to do on this one.
Weirdo.
Yeah.
I love that question. Any other questions or comments from our friends in the audience?
Yes. Oh, that's a really
That's
good
a great question. If we were going to recast it, Vince Vaughn in his current age,
Yes.
but they do the CGI de-aging effects.
Vince Vaughn in every role.
Show.
There was somebody actually.
Somebody passed by earlier and was like, Andrew Garfield should be in a remake as Norman Bates, and I totally see it. I think that would be a great Norman.
Yeah, that would be really good.
We should get that weird little guy who played Willy Wonka.
Timothy Chalamet.
Timothy Chalamet. He should be.
Yeah, I was at first thinking, do you mean Gene Wilder? But no, he's not that little, and also dead. So that would be, rip Gene Wilder.
No, I think Timothy Chalamet should be Norman Bates. I don't.
Which
know why.
version, the Vince Vaughn or the original
No,
version?
he should be doing a remake of the 1998 remake.
Let's get this thing real abstracted. Let's remake it like 8 times and just see where we go.
Yeah.
It's a 2-hour runtime of nothing but people jerking it the whole way through. But all the dialogue is still there. It's an art house project. You don't get it.
Stop being immature.
Yeah. It's revolutionary for sexuality in horror movies.
Get with it.
Yeah.
I think Andrew Garfield is a good one. Who would be a good Marion Crane?
If we're gonna be topical, probably somebody like Sydney Sweeney right now.
I heard of Florence Pugh. I agree with that.
Florence Pugh is iconic in horror right now.
Yeah, Sydney Sweeney. She could maybe make it work, but also I think they're too young. Like Marion Crane is in her
that's
30s.
fair. That's fair.
So we need someone in
Yeah,
there.
but you know what? I'm not going to accept that because we get so many movies where somebody's supposed to be in high school and you're like, that's a 40-year-old man.
Yeah, that's true.
He's got 5 o'clock shadow.
Fair.
So there you go.
Okay, so maybe Florence Pugh.
Yeah, we can do
so
it.
we just get the cast of We Live in Time back together, but for Psycho.
Can we get like Tim Curry in on this? I'd love for him to just do more stuff.
Yeah, who would he play? Arbogast?
Arbogast.
That would be fun.
Yeah. I need a good detective type. Tim Curry wouldn't. Columbo?
What about... Idris Elba's played a cop before.
Oh yeah, Idris Elba could be
What if
in
we
this.
had
So we can
him
do that as Arbogast. That would be really good, I think.
He'd be like real. He'd make it real sexy.
Yeah. Can we get like Arlie Irby as the sheriff guy?
Who's that?
He's normally like the drill sergeant in any military movie. He's just yelling at people.
Cool. I don't know who that is.
It's because he's it's like a cop. Yeah, exactly. He look like he sucked golf balls through garden hose.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right, cool. We watch horror movies, not anything else
Yeah.
here. Not true. I watch a lot of trash movies.
Does anybody else have a really good Norman Bates or?
I'm gonna throw this one out there.
Okay.
Do Psycho, but the Muppets.
Now we're
Yeah.
talking.
Now who's the one human? Because there's always one human.
Timothy.
Yeah, we keep the psychiatrist at the end. Exactly. Everything else is shot in color, modern camera, cinematography, everything. Then we cut to the original psychologist talking to everyone in the room. Everyone's human again. Christopher Lloyd would be great.
In his exact Doc Brown costume.
No, could
Yep.
you,
Now
do you?
cast the Muppets.
Oh, the Muppets.
Which Muppet is Norman Bates?
It's gotta be Gonzo, right?
Gonzo.
Yeah.
Scooter.
Scooter. As much as it pains me, I think Kermit would have to be Arbogast because he.
Oh yeah, that could work.
Oh, he could be Sam, I guess.
Yeah.
He could be and then.
You know, is an ex-wife alimony. That seems
But the
on-brand.
problem is then Miss Piggy would have to be
Marion,
and then she gets killed, and that ain't gonna happen. Miss Piggy ain't going down like
I don't wanna
that.
Do that. Maybe she'll be Lila.
Miss Piggy will be the mother. They turn her on the chair. It's Miss Piggy. Iconic. She's not dead. It was Miss Piggy the whole time. There we go. Gender swap
there we
psycho.
go.
That's
Gender swap.
good.
Gender swap and Muppet swap.
Muppet Swap sounds like a horrible early 2000s like reality TV show, like Wife Swap or something.
Yeah.
I'd watch it.
With
Yeah.
a Muppet.
Yeah.
Great question. Anybody else have anything fun? What should we discuss?
Sound as desperate as Marion at the beginning of the movie being like, "I'll lick the stamps. Please, just let me lick the stamps."
I feel like the beginning section with her just driving and
Yeah.
the anxiety of what people are saying about her
No.
is the most relatable shit ever.
Oh yeah,
That's
absolutely.
so
No
true.
radio on, nothing. She
Yeah.
is driving.
The biggest fear or the biggest horror is being left alone with your thoughts.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
Alone with your thoughts, and you have astigmatism, and it's night. And it's raining.
Stole $40,000.
Girl, yeah.
$40,000 just on a whim, and it doesn't even seem like that much. It was only 2 bundles.
Also, she didn't need to write out the math she was doing.
Yes.
Yeah, she did.
$100.
Hey, she's not good at anything. She does a bad crime. And then has to keep track of the $700 she spent in front of a cop to trade her car in.
She gets out her checkbook to be like, all right, so I spent about $700 out of the $40,000.
Carry the one.
Let me keep track of this. And also, why keep track of it? Is she gonna file taxes on it?
Well, yeah, she's not a criminal. That's how they got Al Capone, was tax evasion. She ain't going down like that.
Yeah, she's not going down like that. She's got her regular checkbook, and then she's got
She's got her
her
cookbooks.
her checkbooks after dark, which is where the
They're
$40,000
they're
goes.
saucy.
Yes.
All right.
Oh,
Well,
man.
I think that is about going to do it for us.
Yes.
Thank you all so much for coming out and hanging out with us, watching the movie, asking us
enjoyed
questions, listening to us ramble for the better part of an hour afterward.
If you would like to keep up with us, you can find us on social media. We're at First Fright Pod. You can also email us, firstfrightpod@gmail.com. If you would like to find our Spotify, we do have our Spotify code up here on the
Yeah, you
table,
can just
as well
scan
as
it.
some free stickers. Take a sticker.
They're glow in the dark. Get one or several. Give them to your friends. I
Give
don't know.
one to your friend and be like, I don't know what this was exactly. I went to a place and some people were talking.
Didn't really like them. They talked a lot about Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, there was a lot of dork in it.
Yeah. No, I changed my mind. Yeah, they didn't talk enough about Vince Vaughn. I expected a solid hour, maybe 5 minutes.
Yes.
We also have some leftover scorecards. So if you want to play along at home, because I think you should watch more movies.
Yeah.
And get into watch movies. Just rate stuff. It doesn't have to be horror movies if you're not big into horror movies.
It should be, though, because they're the best.
They're fun. They're campy sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes they're horrible. It's great.
Yep.
Anyway, thanks so much for listening and joining us.
Yep. I have been Curtis,
I'm Hannah.
and this was Love at First Fright. And as always, scare well, and see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.